The French have been long known for making some of the weirdest cars in history. Cars like the Citroën DS, the 2CV, and the Renault Avantime, whatever that is. However, there are some hidden gems in the French automotive world. You know, those cars with very special details but are rather ignored by most people. Those so-called underrated cars, as I like to call them.
There is a new badge among the world's top luxury cars. New Peugeot 505.
Pour aller dans les deux sens, seuls les pneus Michelin TRX de série sont autorisés.
A car Road and Track describes as leaving many cars of more sporting reputations far behind.
Yes, meet the Peugeot 505, a car well known by enthusiasts for its durability and comfort. However, to the normal person, this may not seem like a special car. I mean, as you can see, it wasn't really designed to stand out with its boxy shape. However, despite its shape, it was actually designed by Pininfarina, you know, those same guys that helped Ferrari design lots of their cars. But, I mean, from a company like Pininfarina, you would expect a more streamlined, curvy shape, would you? But hey, I'm not complaining. I'm a fan of boxy cars as well. However, it is not all boxy. I mean, there are some design elements that are signature to the Peugeot 505. Like, for example, the bonnet that's tapered down to give the car that mean look, along with those headlights are converging downwards, which sort of reminds me of the, you know, that old Nissan Skyline GTR, the PGC10. And also these dimpled sections on the fenders, along with the convex body shape along the sides, and also a little ducktail at the back, just to give it that sporty look. But the really interesting part about the 505 is the bumpers. Well, as you know, like a lot of old European cars, they were known to be very tough, right? Especially the bumpers. And long story short, the 505 was actually my dad's first car. Back then, he owned a 505 GR, so it was a little different than this, which is the GTI. And my old man likes to talk about it one time when he was driving his 505. He got slammed from behind by a car in which the brand and the name I will not mention because that will just be insulting the car manufacturer, but as a clue, it was Japanese. So this Japanese car, it slammed my dad's 505 from behind, and when he went out and looked behind, the car that hit him was completely obliterated. Like the front end was just completely destroyed to the point where the bonnet was just completely bent, but my dad's 505, spotless, not a single dent. Just so you know, my dad bought this 505 in the 90s, and that 505 was built in the early 80s. So you know the car that hit him was a lot newer than his 505, and yet his 505 survived the crash. But what really gets me in this car is the interior. Now, the interior is actually designed by Paul Bracq, the same man who designed the Mercedes 280 SL and the Mercedes 600. And there are a few interesting features in the interior. Like, one of the most notable features in the 505 is the horn being on the side of the steering wheel instead of on it. The window controls on the center console, like some old Mercedes-Benzes, and the central locking next to the window controls. And of course, it's a manual. Come on. I mean, this car, to be exact, has a 5-speed manual transmission. And there's also one really unique feature to this 505 is that, you know how in most modern cars, if there is a heater fitted on, you will have individual buttons for the heater, the heated windows, and the air conditioning, right? Well, in this car, you have buttons for individual combinations instead. Like, on the top you have the heated windows, and then below that is the heated windows and the heater. Below that's the heater only, and then there's the heater with the air conditioning, and then the air conditioning only. Actually, I don't understand why one would need a heater in this country. I mean, in here you either have scorching temperatures or heavy rain with scorching temperatures. But the best thing about the 505 is the seats, because let me just tell you, these seats, they are the most comfortable seats I've ever been in. Not just in any car, but any seat. Like, these seats are very, very soft. Like, I've been in, you know, the more recent S-Class, and I sat in the back seats, and they weren't as soft as these, or even this is more comfortable than my couch at home. So when you sit in this car, you just sink into the seat. So a bit of consumer advice: if you're searching for a new couch for your home, instead of going to IKEA, just hit up your nearest Peugeot dealership and see if they have any spare parts for a Peugeot 505. That is, if they can find any. Now, in terms of boot capacity, you get quite a lot, to be honest. To be exact, you get 18.5 cubic feet of cargo capacity at the back. Now, in terms of dimensions, the Peugeot 505, the sedan version at least, is 180.3 inches long with a wheelbase of 108 inches, 56.4 inches high, and 68.4 inches wide. All that with a drag coefficient of 0.37. Now, in terms of the engine, this GTI is fitted with a 2.2-liter inline-4, to be exact, 2,165 cc's. It produces around 120 horsepower and 133 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 of a blitzing 10 seconds. I don't even think that's worth mentioning. Look, they even have the stats for the quarter mile, which, if I am not mistaken, is around 17 seconds. Now, the Peugeot 505 does have a predecessor, the Peugeot 504. There it is. And when this car was new, it had a challenge of maintaining the reputation held by the 504 of being a car that's extremely comfortable, especially on bumpy roads. And I took a ride on that 504, to be exact, and that is one of the most comfortable car rides I've ever been on, especially on the road bumps. Like, literally, it just glides over it with no problem. So I also went on a ride in the Peugeot 505, and I gotta say, it still maintains that same reputation. Along with the very soft seats, the car was extremely comfortable on the road bumps as well. Like, on those same road bumps, it just glided and the camera didn't even shake. So yeah, I gotta say, this car is still one of the most comfortable cars I've ever been on. And so yeah, that's my video on the Peugeot 505 GTI, and thank you everyone for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye. Can I just say that in the start of this video, it was very sunny, where my eyes were just being tortured by the sun, and now it's just overcast.